What's up, guys? Adam Green here with No More News. Thank you all for joining me today, Friday, March 21st, 2025. Happy Friday, everybody. Got a big show today before the weekend. Thank you all for being here. It wouldn't be possible without you guys. I'm going to be discussing Superhumans, the new cover of The Economist magazine, Rothschild-owned Economist magazine, the rise of the superhuman. There's big stories, big viral stories and posts about some new study about what's underneath the pyramids. We're going to investigate that as well as some other stories and some information on how the cleansing of the temple that internet Christians like to talk about so much is mythology based on scripture and never happened. And some other stories, some anti-Judaic AI video that I haven't watched yet that should be good. So appreciate you all for being here. Yes, you guys are getting your shirts. Wonderful. Still a few more. There's like 10 of each shirt left. So if you're a procrastinator like me, better get them before they're gone. I'm going to get more shirts in, but not these colors and styles. So nomorenews.org before they're all sold out. Let's see. First story, rise of the superhuman. Just a thought on Twitter says, some of the most powerful families in the world own The Economist, Rothschilds and others, and they are not hiding their intentions. If only we cared enough to pay attention. I think a lot of people are paying attention. They're just, what they're paying attention to is getting them slowly assimilated to the idea. Elon Musk has been talking about it. I mean, people have been talking about transhumanism and brain chips and AI for decades, science fiction for decades. And now it's becoming a reality with designer babies and gene editing, CRISPR, brain chips, drugs, enhancing the mind and body, life extension technology companies, all types of stuff like that. Elon Musk has been all over giving interviews for years about how he envisions having supercomputers. He wants to be like a comic book villain, basically, and have a Neuralink and be the smartest person in the world that's enhanced through the Neuralink with AI power. AI-powered brains, superhuman brains, where you won't even be able to, if you don't take the chip, if you don't take the mark, you won't even be able to compete in the slightest on many things. It'll be a way where the small and the rich and the few consolidate even more power. With more technology, more consolidation of power. With more consolidation of power and technology, you can control the masses a whole lot more. And people act like, I think I did the comparison before. People are like, you know, in their mom's basement or on their shitty couch, like, I ain't taking no mark. In reality, I think people are going to be lining up like a new iPhone to get this new advanced technology because of the purported benefits it'll have. Obviously not everybody, but certainly a lot of people will. So whether you're boycotting it or posting online about it, I feel like it's inevitable. It's the people with the power. That's the direction they want to go. It's funny how there's movies too, like Dune, where they had AI, robotic technology, and they had to ban it all because it was such a threat and a danger to humanity. Real life Terminator, real life Avatar, real life Matrix type of shit. The We Was Kang's pyramid in the news. Epstein was into transhumanism. Yeah, like Ray Kurzweil. I did the show with Big Tech maybe 2 weeks ago, all about Elon's AI singularity black hole. But here's the first clip talking about Neuralink and cybernetic enhancements.
I think long term we'll also have enhancement of humans, or optionally, if somebody wants to enhance, like have like cybernetic enhancements, like with Neuralink. You know, if you want to go cybernetic and, I don't know, maybe have like super intelligence and be able to see, you know, in different wavelengths.
I mean, if you want that, if you want super AI intelligence, knowing everything in a fraction of a second, if you want your brain assisted by supercomputers and quantum computers,
we could absolutely provide superhuman abilities via Neuralink in the future.
Isn't it funny how he's acting like that's not the whole plan and the whole purpose? He's like, well, we're just doing this Neuralink just so you can make the blind see or to heal paraplegics or something. But this is really what it's all about. And it's so amazing, like Alex Jones being the voice that was warning about this globalist, transhumanist. Elon is the embodiment of all of those globalist, transhumanist, New World Order things, and Alex Jones is his biggest cheerleader. And it's funny, I saw a tweet that I did several years ago, and I said Alex Jones, like I say it a lot. Alex Jones, in the name of fighting the New World Order, he's actually helping usher in the New World Order, and by being a Christian, helping usher in the Yeshua New World Order. The Yeshua Jewish prophecy, messianic New World Order. But now also cheerleading Elon and Trump every step along the way. Elon and his SpaceX and Starlink blanketing the sky, and his Neuralink and his humanoid robots and self-driving cars, all the things that he used to warn about. Now Elon is rolling out with all of them. X, his influence on X as well. And it's going to be AI, self-driving supercomputer cars and drones. And then X.
So one thing's for sure, the future is going to be very interesting.
It's going to be probably even crazier than the movies. Here's another one.
A communication. We're actually going to aim for augmentation with people who have neuron damage. So we're not just aiming to give people a communication data rate equivalent to normal humans. We're aiming to give people who have, quadriplegic or maybe have complete loss of the connection to the brain and body, a communication data rate that exceeds normal humans. Mm-hmm. I mean, while we're in there, why not? Let's give people superpowers. We're actually going to.
Why not? While we're in there, let's give people superpowers.
Why not? Let's give people superpowers.
Is it? Maybe why not? Because that's not a good idea. Maybe because we've seen how that sci-fi dystopian movie ends. Volca Spirit says humanoid robotics are becoming quite advanced lately, no longer the retarded-looking jokes that they were a few years ago. All of this is accelerating very fast, and that's the thing about technology. Is it like Kurzweil always talked about this? The singularity, it grows. I always forget this word. It always takes me a few seconds. Exponentially. As soon as they get the AI to build the new chips so it can be even more faster, and the AI to write the code to do its own AI, then it's really going to explode. So why not give people superpowers? I don't know. Do we want Magnetos walking around? Do we want X-Men with superpowers ruling over everybody like gods? Remember Jared Kushner said in the interview, like, this is the last generation to die or the first generation to live forever. Yo, Garrett Masterpiece McCluskey. Random question, Birdie. Are you any good at golf? Interesting question. No, I'm not. But I did go to one of my friend's 40th birthdays the other day, and it was at a bar that had a golf simulator. And I got up there, and I did hit 3 really good lucky shots in a row on the green that looked smooth, but then all the rest of the day, my shots were awful. But I've probably done like golf courses maybe like less than 5 times in my whole life. And it's been like since I was in high school that I've gone on the golf course. Nope, not good at golf. Basketball, I don't play basketball anymore either, but I was all about basketball and going to the gym.
The internet is like a nervous system for humanity, whereas previously communication was more like osmosis. In order for information to travel, somebody would have to call someone with a phone or write them a letter, and then that letter would be carried by another person to, by a series of people to the destination. Now, communication can happen.
He does look fat.
From any place.
This
in the
is
world,
before his Ozempic.
and does not need a human to carry it. This is sort of.
He's got his hair plugs, his Ozempic, weight loss. He's already maximizing. He's already superhumaning.
Like at a cellular level, you see, say, a primitive multicellular creature will just communicate by osmosis from one cell to the next, or diffusion, essentially. But once you have a more sophisticated organism, you have a nervous system. The speed at which information can travel is much faster, and the accessibility of information is fundamentally different. And now with the internet, you could be, in the middle of the Amazon jungle with the internet, with a satellite connection, and you have access to all the world's information. Whereas previously, even if you lived in the Library of Congress in the US, where the most books are, you still would only have access to a fraction of the world's information. This is basically humanity becoming a superorganism to a degree that's not possible unless you have sort of essentially instant light speed communication from anywhere to anywhere, as opposed to osmosis, diffusion.
I remember a few years ago, Elon was the one that was like supposedly warning the world about the power of AI. And then now he's like the biggest advocate of rolling it out and monopolizing it. And I'm pretty sure he said this. I think he said this just the other day on the Ted Cruz interview he did, where he talked about in just 10 years or something like that, there's going to already be these superhumans. But Evan Williams is already retweeting me on Twitter. But what they said is, well, Ted Cruz was like, well, we got to do it. Otherwise, China's going to have all of it. So I guess it's just arms race to superhumans. And Neuralink. Tales of the Levant says, I wonder if the newly disabled vegetable brain damage porn star Emily Willis will be a test dummy. Brain damaged porn? Why is she brain damaged? I didn't hear about that. Why would you think it was her? There's like probably millions of brain damaged people out there. You got porn on your mind? Tales of the Levant? Why are you thinking about her? For some specific reason? Is that one of Elon's baby mamas or something?
The internet is.
Here's another one. Skinny Elon now. Super intelligence will be super awesome or super bad.
I mean, smarter than the smartest human.
Cyborg Bimbo?
It's
No.
In terms of silicon consciousness, I think we're trending to having something that's smarter than any human, smarter than the smartest human by maybe next year or something. I mean, a couple years.
Jesus Christ.
Ketamine overdose?
Yeah, there's
that's why.
Which is say like smarter than all humans combined, which frankly is around 2029 or 2030.
Is there potential?
So technically, you can have an AI supercomputer that's smarter than every human being combined with all the information that's ever existed. And then it's connected to a god on Earth's brain through Neuralink. That's what Elon wants. Grok is already smarter than the average human. Man, the bell curve, the average person is like literally subtarded these days.
Potential for a net benefit?
Yeah, there is actually. I think the probability of a good outcome is like 80% likely. That's my rough estimate. So in a way that the cup is 80% full.
That makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah, only 20% chance of annihilation.
That's a lot better than I thought.
20% chance of annihilation?
80 sounds good. I was thinking like 60-40 the other way.
80-20 rule. Oh, I thought it was 60-40, but 80-20, whew, so much better. Yo, 140, indomitably based with the huge dono. Come on.
Nice.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you, Mr. Based. Adam, have you seen the Twitter account that is widely thought to be Elon's alt, named 666? He's very interested in the Bible, eschatology, also computing, unproven to be Elon's, but seems plausible. Anyway, paying my Dane Geld, and I know many others are going to chip in too. Thank you so much. Making the Friday show well worth it, as always, indomitably based. Named 666? I've not heard of that account. Named 666. Supposed to be Elon. 3,000 followers. I see a lot of you guys are following him. I guess I'll follow too. Sounds interesting. Since you mentioned, if Indomitably Base tells me to follow, I will. 20% chance and 100% chance Abrahamics will continue to push us towards annihilation.
Get 60-40 the other way.
I think it's the most likely outcome is awesome. I think it's going to be either super awesome or super bad. It's not going to be, I think it's probably not going to be something in the middle.
It'll probably, yeah, that's fair to say. It's going to be awesome and until it's not, until it gets out of control, and then it'll be bad. That's what I see. That makes most sense. Putin also talking about genetically engineered humans and Elon Musk.
Them you need to be.
In his Tucker interview. Let's hear this one.
So when does the AI empire start, do you think?
Wasn't that funny?
Asking increasingly more complicated questions. To answer them, you need to be an expert in big numbers, big data, and AI. Mankind is currently facing many threats. Due to the genetic researches, it is now possible to create a superhuman, a specialized human being, a genetically engineered athlete, scientist, military man.
Captain America, Captain Russia. Superhuman Captain Russia. They're going to start making golems. Golem anti-Semitism police forces.
There are reports that Elon Musk has already had a chip implanted in the human brain in the USA.
What do you think of that?
Well, I think there's no stopping Elon Musk. He will do as he sees fit. Nevertheless, you need to find some common ground with him, search for ways to persuade him. I think he's a smart person, I truly believe he is. So you need to reach an agreement with him because this process needs to be formalized and subjected to certain rules. Humanity has to consider what is going to happen due to the newest development in genetics or in AI. One can make an approximate prediction of what will happen. Once mankind felt an existential threat coming from nuclear weapons, all nuclear nations began to come to terms with one another since they realized the negligent use of nuclear weaponry could drive humanity to extinction. It is impossible to stop research in genetics or AI today, just as it was impossible to stop the use of gunpowder back in the day.
You see, even Putin says it's impossible to stop it.
But as soon as we realize that the threat comes from unbridled and uncontrolled development of AI, or genetics, or any other field, the time will come to reach an international agreement on how to regulate these things.
International. Oh, it's going to be like there's a Matrix cartoon. I think it's called Animatrix, where the whole world has to get together to deal with the robots and the AI. And then they start treating them, and then they compare them as if they're the Jews. Garrett Masterpiece McCluskey says, Grok told me the black on white rape since 1972 is about 5 million, and white on black is about 5,000. Seems about right. Checks out. Paper Jesus is in the chat. Been a while since I've seen that name in the live chat, although I think he's been here. Paper Jesus, you guys may remember him, has risen from the tomb. The second coming of Paper Jesus is back. He posted his shirts that he bought the other day. Did you get a kick out of Brother Nathaniel that I put on the shirt? Where is that? There it is. Guys, pick up your shirts. Brother Nathaniel was talking some shit, so I decided to put his face onto Paper Jesus. This is not Paper Jesus. This is Brother Nathaniel. I just cleaned up his beard, gave him a little bit Viking beard instead of a rabbi beard. He should hit the gym. Brother Nathaniel can leave his monk days behind him, get some girls, leave the gym. Then he won't have to be simping to him online. Yeah, he took it. I didn't think he'd be mad. I thought Paper Jesus would be more likely to be offended than Brother Nathaniel on that one. Okay, that's all for the superhumans. We'll stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for our dystopian sci-fi future. Now here's one. 10,000 likes on this one from Dominic Michael Trippi, who was on the show with me 2 weeks ago for Trump's address to Congress. The only Jesus allowed in the chat, right? So this file, in the newly released file, says Israel was behind the JFK assassinations. The file doesn't say that. It's not the CIA saying that we investigated and that's our conclusion. It's some Egyptian guy apparently said it, or Saudi guy made the Saudi intel officer in attached. Maybe the Saudi intel officer in, but subject is not yet sure. Israel is no good. Israel was behind the JFK assassination. So apparently the guy said this. That's my understanding. That's what people are saying in the comments. Subject cheated on his wife only 3 times. I don't even know. Like it seems so out of place. The context of this doesn't seem like it belongs there. Did you guys see this one yet? Good time to get Laurent Guyenne back on. Yeah, I'm gonna start getting some interviews booked. Laurent's gonna be back on. Scribina's probably gonna be back on. Let me know in the comments and in the chat who else you guys want to see back on the show. So there's another JFK find. Israel find in the JFK document. Now they're running headlines. Apparently they're claiming that Wikipedia is Hamas. Although, we've seen the video circulating for years of Israel's Wikipedia editing program. Naftali Bennett, the former prime minister of Israel, says, we're training Israelis to edit Wikipedia so it's balanced and Zionist in nature. Meaning it's Zionist propaganda. Man, I'm searching the hard drive for that video for the Wikipedia, but I feel like it's in the older hard drive. It's so old. I'll find it here in a second while we play this.
I mean, we think about it as this decentralized.
So here's Greenblatt complaining that Wikipedia is Hamas.
I mean, we think about it as this decentralized, volunteer-led resource. In fact, it's being manipulated by small groups of editors with an ideological agenda. And we found clear evidence, 18 times more likely a small group of people to communicate in their group communications. We found tandem editing where they coordinate their edits in clear violation of the rules. We found block voting on decisions. And here's why it matters, Joe.
Oh, like they've never done this. It's like they're using the same system that everybody uses. Oh, and remember this? There was a headline, ADL, Wikipedia decided to stop using ADL as a credible source. ADL Wikipedia source. Let's see if we can find that headline. And then now ADL's coming for Wikipedia. Could you imagine that? Kosher Wikipedia. ADL accuses Wikipedia editors of organizing anti-Israel bias. Anything that's not Zionist propaganda is anti-Israel bias. Wikipedia deems ADL unreliable on Israel-Hamas situation. That was June 2024. Dozens of Wikipedia editors colluded on years-long anti-Semitic campaigns, as New York Post. Is that what the title is? I know. They're coming for the early lives. Good one. Draghi. Bombshell ADL report claims. Okay, let's finish this up.
these individuals invisibly, beyond the reach of what most people see, 30 or so people are able to manipulate articles on anti-Semitism, on Israel, on the Middle East, again, in a way that glorifies Hamas, as you said, in a way that plays down terrorism, in a way that literally misinforms the public. But it's
Jonathan,
again, so unseen.
It is.
It's so funny that he's complaining about this. Here's the clip.
The prime
editors, Israel,
Minister of Visual Assistant
with My Israel, has arranged instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
You can't be balanced and
so
Zionist
casual.
in nature.
We're just like trading editors to go in there and to make sure that things are Zionist. Look up anything, it's going to be like Zionist spit on it. So it's like, this is...
So not having complete control over the Zionist propaganda on Wikipedia, and they claim Wikipedia is owned by Hamas. Wikipedia are Nazis. Isn't that funny? They're doing the exact same thing, training Israelis to work together and edit Wikipedia so they have their information and propaganda there. And then they're complaining about their adversaries doing the same thing?
Horrifying this happened. Give us some examples so people understand how bad it was.
So take Samir Kuntar, a well-known terrorist who was arrested by Israel after, as a 16-year-old, he was a Lebanese Hezbollah operative who came into Israel, kidnapped a young father and his daughter, drowned the father in front of the daughter in the ocean, and then beat the daughter to death, this 4-year-old girl, with the butt of his rifle, and killed her. He was also involved in the hijack, the Achille Lauro. He had American blood on his hands. If you go to Wikipedia, you think he's a freedom fighter, because they've literally sanitized and removed any reference to his terrorist activities. And there are lots of examples of this. And you mentioned this earlier, Joe, the Arabic language Wikipedia. I mean, it's literally like just reading straight up Al Jazeera. Now, that would be okay if they were clear about their biases, but they're not. It is portrayed as objective. And here's why it really matters.
Seems like everybody doesn't like Wikipedia.
Joe, Google relies on Wikipedia for their knowledge panels. OpenAI relies on Wikipedia for ChatGPT. These large language models, these LLMs, are built on Wikipedia. And it is time, ADL has kind of shined a light on this, but we need Congress, we need other watchdogs to see what kind of biases are going on here. We can tell you about the anti-Semitism they're spreading, but I want to know, is there more to this? Because I believe there is. I think the 30 editors that we found are only the tip of the iceberg. We need congressional attention on this.
Wow, we need congressional attention. They need total control over Wikipedia. Did he cough up a hairball? Me? Or Greenblatt?
We need more consideration of what's really going on at Wikipedia.
Amazing.
I mean, we think about...
Amazing. Is this open source intel? 300,000 followers. Talking about the Dome of the Rock and the Temple Mount. They write, "This might sound controversial, but I truly believe it's time for Israel to take back the Temple Mount. Hamas unleashed a massacre calling it Al-Aqsa flood. They made it clear this isn't just a war against Israel, it's a war to take Jerusalem and erase." That's not what it means. Al-Aqsa flood was the response because the Israelis kept flooding Al-Aqsa, and they know that they want to blow up Al-Aqsa Mosque or move it. Isn't it so funny? This Israeli account apparently thinks it's like the Palestinians know that they want to rebuild their third temple there. They call something Al-Aqsa. So because you know that that's what the plan is, that's their justification for trying to take it back and destroy it and rebuild their third temple. which is so central to their religion, anybody downplaying that that's the agenda is hiding reality. Saying that the Arabs want to take all of the Temple Mount and all of Jerusalem and wipe away Israel is so projection. That's exactly what they want to do. Their greater Israel and rebuilding of the third temple. Uh-oh. Sorry. And yet, despite this, Israel... Oh, and by the way, the reason I'm showing this, 9.7 thousand likes. Yeah, it was because the red heifers. Sovereign Bra says, Hamas launched their October 7th attack because Jews brought red heifers to Israel. That's what set it into motion? What these red cows from Texas have to do with war and peace in the Middle East? From March 2024. Hamas spokesman lists the motives for the Palestinian militant group on October 7th. He accused Jews of bringing red cows to the Holy Land. It's over the heifers. Isn't that funny? Totally not crazy. Wanting to fulfill prophecies and burn up red heifers and rebuild temples and usher in messiahs and destruction of Edom. No, it's not comedy. Oh, they say taking sovereignty over the Temple Mount doesn't mean destroying mosques, but we know that is what many want. If you're worried that this will start a religious war, wake up. What do you think has been happening for the past 16 months? This war isn't about borders. It's about Palestinians' refusal to accept Jewish sovereignty anywhere in Israel. Yeah, I'm sure that's what it is. Meanwhile, the fake desire to have a two-state solution forever. This is all such projection. I'm offended by the projection and the lies and the inversion. I'd rather have you just tell the truth. Say, yeah, you think you're chosen. You want to have your Moshiach in the temple in the Holy Land. You don't like the Palestinians. You want to get rid of all of them. I have more respect for people that are at least honest about their intentions. I'm not sure if I covered this yesterday, but Trump, it happened live. Trump signs an executive order to officially begin the process of closing the Department of Education. Oh, and I forgot about the thing I got to find. I'll find it.
Should I do this? Should I do this?
Yeah, do it. Oh, this isn't the video with the little boy with the yarmulke on, but Need More Amalek found this one. Get a little zoom enhance going. What did she write there on the bottom of that? What did she say? Zoom enhance. Thank you for all you are doing for Israel. Love, Vera, she says. Thank you, Trump, for everything you're doing for the foreign nation. And I think this moment, this taking down and it has been a failure. It is bloated, way too much expenses, the Department of Education. But I think they're doing it so that they can send it back to the states, and so that the states can decide to have Christianity in schools, Bible in schools, and so that they can expand this Noahide law moment of silence and prayer that they want to have in the classes. That is the objective. And they want to do it because they want to indoctrinate them while they're young, of course, in schools. Look, the head of Texas, governor of Texas, Abbott, big Zionist, rolled into the White House, headed to see Trump return control of education back to the states where it belongs. And Elon says yes, back to the states. And of course, Elon, they probably have a plan for AI teaching as well. AI internet teaching for kids. that's where this will go on. Isn't it crazy that Trump was like made famous with the tagline, the catchphrase, "You're fired, you're fired," and then now he gets into power again, and they're like firing so much of the federal government. Not that I'm against decreasing the government, I am for that, but it's almost just a little too synchronistic, a little too perfect. You're fired. And everybody's gone from the government. This is a good one. Richard Carrier. Richard Carrier dropping some green pills here. About to get written up by the ADL with this clip.
The idea of not having religious freedom is Jewish. And that's true. I can't think of an example.
No religious freedom is Jewish. Jews and their monotheistic, jealous God that hates the competition, hates the pagan idol worship. It's a Jewish idea. The pagan world, the pagan pantheon, they were tolerant of other people's religions. You would still have to also offer sacrifices to the Roman god and the Greek gods, but you could still have your own religion too. But it's not surprising that a monotheistic religion of a jealous god, of the Hebrew tribal god of the Torah, that wants to conquer all the idol worship, has become the most dominant religion in the world. And through the Messiah is how it subjugates and conquers the world.
The idea of not having religious freedom is Jewish. And that's true. I can't think of an example of religious freedom being suppressed by any other culture in history, that other than a culture that is completely subsumed by a sect of Judaism. So Christianity is a sect of Judaism. Mormonism is a sect of Christianity. So Mormonism is just a sect of Judaism. Islam is just a sect of Judaism, possibly originating from the Torah observant Christian sects of the Syria of the time. So they all go back to the Old Testament and the Jewish concept of suppressing freedom of speech and religion. And that's fundamentally in the Bible. So you look at that 24 verses article I sent, it goes in.
It's all in the Bible. It's all in the Jewish Bible. Suppression of freedom of speech, censorship, burning heretics, burning books,
and religion. And that's fundamentally in the Bible. So you look at that 24 verses article I sent, it goes into this. So it gives concrete examples of the absolute violation and suppression of religious freedom is fundamental to their religion. And they're the only ones that did that. And then those religions became the imperialist religions that dominated the world. And you can actually explain that because without religious freedom, they were able to annihilate competitors. So obviously you combine those with industrial imperialist societies and they're going to dominate the earth, right? Because they're going to kill everybody else and suppress it.
Thanks, Jews. Good one. Nice clip. Nice clip, says Conspiracy Truther. Yes, it is. Yo, Lisa Renison says, hi, Adam. Do you think most, if not all, the states will enforce the Noahide laws? You know, I don't necessarily think it's going to be states enforcing laws. I don't think that they're going to have a grip on things quite like that, where it's like, say you bow to Moshiach or it's off with your head. I think it's going to be more like, you know, they're already Noahides. They have their Noahide servants already. They're just Christians and Muslims that collaborate with them. So no, I don't think it's almost like de facto Noahide laws with the hate speech laws and the anti-Semitism laws where you can't criticize them. Yeah, Carrier is a hardcore liberal. That is true. Need more Amalek. What else did I miss here? John Garatis, 200. Thank you so much, John. John's the best. Not only does he support the stream with the super chats, but he also makes incredible clips and is killing it on Twitter too. We need a whole lot more Johns and need more Amaleks and see-through-it-alls and paper Jesuses and Liam Jarrett's and anti-Judaics. Julan just dropped a nuke with this beat. It's about Trump, his donors, his kids being married to Jews, and the vaccine. The most sick parody I've ever seen. Let's see this. I've been seeing a lot of these new AI things. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
This is going to give me nightmares. Trump's favorite word is shalom.
Yeah. Yo, check the mic, it's the king of the scene. I'm Juno Trump, the father of the vaccine. Get your fourth jab, Goyim, don't delay. I'm running this game in a MAGA way. Stacking the cash, watch the profits accrue. All my donors are Jewish, that's the crew. From the penthouse suites to the golden throne. I'm calling the shots, never stand alone. Oy vey, oy vey, oy vey, oy vey. Hashem protect us Jewish people today.
Oh my gosh. What? Dude, that almost sounds good. Jews are going to actually bump this. Dude, I bet you Rabbi Jews, Chabad Jews are going to be rolling around listening to this song right here. The oy vey part.
Oy vey, oy vey, oy vey. Hashem protect us Jewish people today. From the deals I sign to the words I say. Ruling the world in a kosher way.
Yes.
Best friend is Jewish. We tight like glue. Breaking bread at the table. Sipping Manischewitz brew. All my kids are married to Jews. It's true.
Whoa.
Family trees is David Crow.
Dude, how does AI make all this? What AI? Where's big tech? What AI program is making these things? This needs more red heifer bell.
Script, making power moves, dropping bars so hard you can't refuse. Counting the blessings, never the blues. Synagogue vibes in my golden shoes. From the campaign trail to the promised land.
Dude.
I'm holding the future in the palm of my hand. Gonna send all your money to Israel, fam. Building empires, that's the master plan. Shofar's blowing, hear the victory call.
Shofar's blowing. Who made this? Dude, if this is how good AI is now, what's it going to look like in 10 years? Are movies going to be replaced with AI? Big Tech sent me a list of what is doing this. I have not had the time to fuck with it yet. 3D facial models constructed from photos. I know, but like you can't just put in a prompt. Does every one of these video scenes have to have its own prompt and they're just putting it together with all the music?
Red Hat King, I'm towering tall. No wall too high, no deal too small. Juno's reign, I'm claiming it all. Back on the beat, let the truth unfold. Turning greenbacks into Jerusalem gold. Gonna send all your money to Israel, behold. Prophecy vibes from the stories of old.
Dude, prophecy vibes. Wow. Whoever wrote this is pretty on point, too.
Dawn of the dawn, the chief in a fray. Drop around so tight, they kneel and pray. Oy vey, it's a glorious day. Hashem's got my back, what more can I say?
Wow.
Oy vey, oy vey. Hashem protect us Jewish people today. From the deals I sign to the words I say. Ruling the world in a kosher way.
Dude, this is hard. Dude, Elon with the side locks. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I know, I said 10 years. Are movies going to be replaced in the next few years? Like where you just put in a prompt like, I want to watch a movie that's about this, with this character, with this actor, and then surprise me. And then it just gives you a whole movie that you get to watch. Juno's Trump is horrifying. Whoa. Musk Julan? Musk Julan. They've shut it down 40 to 50 times. Maxed out the shadow ban level. Oh, I saw that one. Only a dozen people supported. Was it worth it? Yes. He's going to say yes. Wow. Julan Musk? How do I not have a follow already? He should be following me. I'll follow Julan Musk. You got to follow, buddy. Here's another one. I think he made the same thing.
Oy vey, oy vey. And my name is Julan.
Black Mirror episode.
My name is Elon Musk. I went to a Hebrew preschool. 2/3 of my friends are Jewish. Oy vey, oy vey, oy vey, oy vey, oy vey, oy vey. Oy vey, oy vey. Hashem, protect us Jewish people.
Jewish life has value.
Whoa.
My name is Elon Musk. I went to
Dude, did I miss that part? Licking the wall?
My name is Elon Musk. I went to a Hebrew preschool. 2/3 of my friends are Jewish.
Incredible. All right. Things are getting weird. Thank you for that, John. The tongue part. Dude. Oh, read my super chat. Yeah, guys, it's on the Rumble link from John's super chat. Dude, that was crazy. Okay, cleansing of the temple now. You hear Christians all the time. The memes. First of all, the Bible, the New Testament doesn't even condemn usury. It's not him there condemning Jews or all Jews or usury. And it didn't even happen. It's a mythical story. Just like Jesus never existed, this didn't happen. Nobody else wrote about it outside of the Bible. And they literally, just like all the rest of the Jesus stories, they cite a prophecy and say it's fulfilling a prophecy, inspired by prophecy.
The cleansing of the temple is often seen as a mythological story due to its connections to two key prophecies and its narrative structure. First, it references Jeremiah 7:11, where the temple is called a den of robbers, symbolizing corruption. Second, Psalm 69:9, "Zeal for your house will consume me," is quoted in John 2:17, emphasizing Jesus' fervor. The intercalation technique, where the fig tree story frames the temple cleansing in Mark and Matthew, adds a symbolic layer, showing judgment on unfruitful practices. These elements suggest the story carries theological significance rather than being a straightforward historical event, highlighting its mythological nature.
Mythological.
The cleansing of the temple is often...
They gave you a hero of a mythological story. Jeremiah 7:11 has this house which bears my name become a den of robbers to you, but I have been watching, declares the Lord. So that was the prophecy. And then what was the other one that it said?
Seen as a mythological story due to its connections to two key prophecies and its narrative structure. First, it references Jeremiah 7:11, where the temple is called a den of robbers, symbolizing corruption. Second, Psalm 69:9, "Zeal for your house will consume me," is quoted in John 2:17, emphasizing Jesus' fervor.
Psalm 69:9, which is a messianic chapter in the Psalms. Come on. Don't freeze on me. There we go. I have become a stranger to my brothers and a foreigner to my mother's sons, because zeal for your house has consumed me, and the insults of those who insult you have fallen on me. I wept. And then Paul cites the same verse in Romans 15:3. John cites it. When it's talking about the cleansing of the temple, he cites it. Zeal for your house consume me. So this is not a real event. And it wasn't eyewitnesses that saw this and linked it to a prophecy. They came up with the story based on scripture, like all the rest of Jesus. And you heard the AI mention intercalation. It's a total sign that we're talking about symbolic myth when you have the cursing of the fig tree and then going to the temple and then coming back to the withered fig tree. And it's like that in the Synoptic Gospels. Now here's another one that I made. 5 reasons the cleansing of the temple never happened.
Literary structure. The intercalation or sandwich. Here are 5 reasons some argue the cleansing of the temple might be more myth than history. 1. Literary structure. The intercalation or sandwiching technique used in Mark, where the temple cleansing is framed by the fig tree story, suggests a symbolic rather than historical narrative. 2. Theological motifs. The story aligns with prophetic themes from Jeremiah
and how you know that Matthew is copying Mark and then Luke copies both is that it does the same exact thing. It tells the story the same way. Jesus does the fig tree and then goes to the temple and then comes back to the fig tree. Intercalation is what it's called. A telltale sign that we're dealing with myth.
Theological motifs. The story aligns with prophetic themes from Jeremiah and Psalms, emphasizing spiritual reform, which could indicate it was crafted to fulfill scriptural prophecies rather than report an event.
Crafted to fulfill prophecies, not documenting an event.
3. Absence in early Christian writings. The story is not mentioned in earlier sources like Paul's letters, suggesting it may have been a later theological development. 4. Symbolic timing. The event occurs during Passover, a highly symbolic time, emphasizing themes of liberation and judgment, which may indicate a constructed narrative. 5. Logistical improbability. The idea of Jesus single-handedly disrupting temple activities without immediate intervention is seen as logistically unlikely, suggesting a more symbolic rather than literal interpretation.
Symbolic, not literal. Also, I heard that the area of the temple was huge, and the idea that Jesus went in there and was like actually causing a ruckus with his whip, like he's just whipping hundreds of Jews. That's not what happened. And also, they go, oh, Jesus told them he whipped the money changers, the money, and then they change. They interpret money changers into money lenders, although he wasn't there condemning usury. That's not what it was. And even if it were true, so a Jew is mad that the temple is corrupted. Like, who else would care about that but Jews? Jesus, the Jew, was mad that his Jewish temple, the Jews in the Jewish temple weren't being Jews correctly. Like, that's your hero because of that. And the idea of being critical of the establishment or critical of the temple and temple sacrifice because of the establishment is not unique to Christianity. The same thing was in the Essenes and the Qumran scrolls.
Lending broadly. The New Testament doesn't explicitly condemn usury or money lending broadly, but critiques the temple's commercial practices. We also touched on anti-temple sentiments within Judaism, particularly among groups like the Essenes, who viewed the temple establishment as corrupt and colluding with Rome. This adds a nuanced layer to understanding the diverse perspectives within ancient Judaism.
Yeah, they were selling animals or exchanging money to do sacrifices in the temple. It has nothing to do with if Jesus was real and he wanted to condemn the usury that God commands the Jews in the Old Testament, they would have made it a little more clear and explicit. It's nowhere. Show me the verse where Jesus condemns usury. In fact, there's even a verse, I've gone over this before, where it basically condones it.
Here are 5 reasons.
Okay. Now here's Anti-Judaic's AI, the many Jesuses in the Talmud and how they do not make any sense. I wonder if this is based on the book, The Jesus the Jews Never Knew by Frank Zindler. It's a good one, and he investigates if the Talmud and Todoth Yeshu and Jewish texts are proof that Jesus historically existed. And he concludes that they're not.
Is not an original element of the Talmud. In the Talmud, there is a name spread through the Jewish texts of the Talmud, particularly the Babylonian Talmud, Yeshu, or Yeshu HaNotzri. The Talmud comprises 2 traditions, the Babylonian, completed around the 6th century CE, and the Jerusalem, finalized circa 400 CE. These texts preserve Jewish law and narrative compiled over centuries. The Jerusalem Talmud predates the Babylonian Talmud and has no mention of Jesus in it. We embark on an investigation into a persistent claim that Yeshu, often associated with Jesus, is a figure embedded in the Talmud. I propose a different conclusion. Yeshu is not an original element of the Talmudic texts. Evidence from early manuscripts reveals it as a later insertion, introduced to sow confusion and serve polemical ends. From Frank Roger Zindler's book, The Jesus the Jews Never Knew, Hermann Leberecht Strack, in his introduction to the Talmud and Midrash, comments that the text of the Babylonian Talmud received many additions after the compilation was completed by the Sabarayim. Frequently, it is quite easy to recognize these additions by the evidence from subject matter, as when they interrupt the context of a discussion. In other instances, additions betray themselves by the change of idiom. In still other cases, by the fact that they are wanting in all or certain ancient witnesses. An important handle is offered by the expression lishna avsrina, another version. Probably there never existed a uniform and universally recognized text. Rather, from the very beginning there must have been differences between what was taught at Sura and what at Pumbeditha. These differences persisted, and moreover were multiplied through the circumstance that, to the end of the Gaionic period, the Talmud text was only on rare occasions read in the academies from a book, but for the most part it was recited from memory by those expert in traditional lore. As early an authority as Sadia occasionally expresses doubt.
Dude, I'm sorry, Anti-Judaic, but I have no idea. I just finished reading. I have no idea why this is the quote. Why did AI decide to put that in the quote? You'll hear Christians all the time say, oh, even the Talmud admits that Jesus was real. The Jesus deception wouldn't work if most Jews didn't believe Jesus was real. In fact, I think the sign that Jews haven't always been saying Jesus is made up, none of that happened, is a sign that it's made up and didn't happen. It's almost odd that there aren't, the Talmud doesn't say like, oh, Jesus doesn't exist. They don't, it's almost like they don't want you to know that Jesus didn't exist.
Took inspiration on this passage.
And it's polemic. Later layers of the Talmud, hundreds of years after Christianity was already a known sect.
Therefore, it is not Joshua ben Parachia and his student who went to Alexandria, but rather Judah ben Tabai. Judah ben Tabai had two students, Abtalion and Shemaiah. Abtalion is the only student that is told
the
to
Jesus as it talks about, Jesus ben Stada and Jesus Pantera too, are placed, has him doing different things that Jesus did, placed in different times than when Jesus supposedly lived. And it's also odd, the Talmud says that Jesus is stoned and hung on a tree by the Jews according to Jewish law. If the New Testament were true and it was really Pilate and the Romans that crucified Jesus, why would the Talmud take credit for it and say they did it?
Warns the sages to be careful with their words, to make them clear so that their students will not misunderstand their intention. In many places, the rabbis teach how dangerous the words of Torah can be if not understood in the right context by people with the correct intentions in their application. A teacher has a responsibility not only to teach by reciting what he knows, but he must make sure.
Hey, look at this. Elon Musk says, not gonna lie, this is amazing to see. Elon Musk is watching. Doesn't follow me. Oh, now he does. Watching me laugh at it. That's cool. Wow, small world. Elon Musk is watching at me. And why would you have to lie? Why would you have to lie about that?
Sure that it is understood by the listener as well. Improper teaching will eventually force the teacher to leave his place in exile and go to a place of evil waters. This is probably a euphemism for heretical beliefs. If a teacher is not careful with his words, his students may end up as heretics. This teaching matches the mistake between a Judah ben Tabai and his student in the Babylonian Talmud. This means this could be an ironic story.
Hi, Julan. Chat saying hi to you.
Jesus, who both himself and his teacher did the very thing he taught not to do. Number 2, Jesus burns his food. In Sanhedrin 103a and Barakot 17b, we are taught that Jesus burned his food, that this was a heretic. However, Frank Roger Zindler, from his book The Jesus the Jews Never Knew, argues otherwise. It is of no small significance that in the quotation of this passage in the Aruk asterisk, it is not Jesus who burns his food, but Manasseh, a character much more suited for a discussion of the 3 kings and 4 commoners, who are to be excluded from paradise. Besides, as the wayward son of Hezekiah, Manasseh literally fits the context of a sentence identifying the type of son or disciple one would like to avoid having. It thus seems all but certain that Manasseh was the original reading, and Yeshua HaNotzri appeared later on as a mutation in the text. The discovery that the Aruk has Manasseh instead of Jesus burning his food is not one for which I can claim the credit. Rather, it was discovered by R. Travers Herford, the scholar whose work I have been examining throughout my discussion of the rabbinical literature. Needless to say, he did not see the significance of the fact quite in the way I do. Indeed, he argued squarely against my conclusion. The passage in Barakot 17b, as quoted in the Aruk, reads thus, burns his food in public, like Manasseh. And this has probably led the author of that work to explain the meaning of burns his food in public by sets up idols in public, establishes false worships. But, as Rabinovitz has shown, not Manasseh, but Yeshu HaNotzri is the original reading. And this fact is conclusive against the explanation of the author of the Aruk. It is absurd to say of Jesus that he set up idols. I conclude, therefore, that in the passage before us the reference to Jesus is intended as an example of one who inclined to heresy. It is of psychological interest that Herford was a Christian who, of course, believed not only in the historicity of Jesus, but also was utterly convinced that the authors of the Talmuds knew a great deal about him, and that therefore present explicit mentions of Jesus must be authentic. This bias made it impossible for him to see the real significance of the Aruk citation. For him, the fact that Rabinovitz, contemporary scholar, had shown that the Munich manuscript, 1342 CE, had the reading Yeshu HaNotzri overrode the fact that Ben Jehiel, writing in Rome more than 2 centuries earlier, in 1101, would have had access to far older manuscripts whose texts could be Vamot 16:6. It is revealed that it is actually Ben Stada, or Ben Satra, who got stoned and hung in the Passover Eve. Number 4, a student of Jesus, and in the name of Jesus, Ben...
I'm not sure this is going to be in there, but I wanted to read a quote from the book. And I saw this. Julon says, how is this possible? I don't get any likes on my Instagram, but look, I randomly found someone posting my stuff. Look at the engagement. An account Amalek Noticing is getting 26,000 likes on some videos. Nice to see, but I wish it would be fair and receive the most credits for my own work. Hey, man, I've been there. I've made lots of compilations that I barely get any views, but then everybody rips them and they go ultra viral.
And my name is... I still remember the day my father Matsitsa paid me. It feels like... And my name is Julon Musk. I went
28,000 likes.
And my name is Julon Musk. And my name is Julon
Amalek Noticing.
I still remember the day my father Matsitsa paid me. It feels like...
I'll have to look up that Amalek Noticing account.
Pandera. In Avoda Zara 17, there is a student in where Jesus is their teacher. In Avoda Zara 17b, the Jerusalem Talmud, Avoda Zara 2, and Jerusalem Talmud Shabbat 14, or there is someone who heals in the name of Jesus ben Pandera. This is a peculiar case of a mistranslation both in the Babylonian Talmud and the Jerusalem Talmud, but the Midrash Kohelet Rabbah reveals the whole story in a single passage, and none of it mentions Jesus. Instead, the Midrash Kohelet Rabbah refers to Jesus as so-and-so. What this must mean is that it's not Jesus who is in the text, but a random example chosen to speak about heretics with different faiths and gods. In Ruth Rabbah 5:6, an example was used of an individual crying out for their pagan idol to rescue them. In the continuation of the Jerusalem Talmud Shabbat 14:4, Rabbi Jacob tells in the name of Rabbi Yohanan that one heals except with pagan worship, uncovering nakedness and spilling blood. So, in the end, there's no student of Jesus but a student from a foreign faith, a pagan. There is no in the name of Jesus, but rather in the name of so-and-so, which refers to a foreign god, a pagan god. Number 5, Jesus and his 5 disciples. In Sanhedrin 43, right after Ben Stada is stoned and hanged, Jesus is told in a Baraita to have 5 disciples, Mati, Nakai, Netzer, Buni, and Toda.
Netzer means branch, and then they cite Isaiah 11. Yeshua, Jesus of Nazareth is Nazarenes, meaning branch. The Jesseans and the Nazareans mean the branches of Jesse, is where it comes from. Not for a historical Jesus from Nazareth. It means they're the branch of Jesse. Christianity and the Christians was a branch of Judaism.
None of these disciples.
They're the branches that are grafted into the Jews. Netzer means branch in Hebrew.
Are biblical, and they seem to be a wordplay with the Old Testament. The Old Testament is nowhere related to Jesus, unless you count some verses seen as prophetic references to Jesus like Christians do. Let's take a look at Jesus' actual disciples from Frank Roger Zindler's book, The 13 Disciples or Apostles in Mark 2:14 and 3:14. Simon, renamed Peter. James, son of Zebedee. John, son of Zebedee. Andrew, Simon the Canaanite. Judas Iscariot. Thaddeus, or Libreus, or Dadreus, MSS disagree on the name. Levi, son of Alphaeus, a tax gatherer. Philip, Bartholomew, Matthew, Thomas, James, son of Alphaeus. The 13 disciples apostles in Luke 5:27 and 6:12. Simon, given the name of Peter, Philip, James, Matthew, James, son of Alphaeus, Judas, son of James, Andrew, John, Bartholomew, or Martholomew, Thomas, or Thomas the twin, Simon, called the Zealot, Judas Iscariot, Levi, or Levi son of Alphaeus, a tax gatherer.
They have different lists. There's not a set list of known 12 disciples in the Synoptic Gospels. They're contradictory. And Paul not only does he not mention the 12 disciples, he mentions a 12, but never uses the word disciples. And in the verse where he mentions the 12, it makes it seem like James and Peter are not part of the 12 disciples.
The 7 to 9 disciples in John 1:40, 1:42, 1:44, 6:71, 11:16, 12, 22, 22. Philip, Thomas the twin, Nathanael, Judas, not Iscariot, Andrew, brother of Simon Peter, and an unnamed other, Simon, son of John, or Jonah, to be called Cephas, interpreted the rock. MSS disagree on Simon's father. Judas, son of Simon Iscariot, or Simon from Cariot. MSS disagree on the name. The other disciple, the one whom Jesus loved. The 4 or 5 disciples in Thomas, Prologue 13, 2:4, 21, 1, 61, 2:4. Didymus, Judas, Thomas, Simon Peter, Matthew, Mary, not certainly a disciple, Salome. The 7 disciples in the Gospel of the Ebionites. Epiphanius adversus heresies of 30:13. Simon, surnamed Peter, John, son of Zebedee, James, son of Zebedee, Andrew, Thaddeus, Simon the Zealot, Judas Iscariot. 3 disciples remaining in the Gospel of Peter 14:1-3. Simon Peter, Andrew, Levi, son of Alphaeus.
Why are we showing all the different names?
None of the names of the disciples of Jesus in Sanhedrin 43 really match or come close to the disciples in the New Testament.
Okay, there you go. That's why he went through all of those. The Talmud, the disciples that it says Jesus has in the Talmud, number one, it's Ben Stada, not even actually Jesus. It doesn't match up with any of the lists that are in the New Testament.
Frank Roger Zindler also adds in his book, scoffing at the various attempts to find yet other nicknames of Jesus or even of his disciples, such as I have criticized in my examination of the Balaam tradition, Ginsburg explains the situation with apparent amusement. The hunt for nicknames, however, continues merrily, and sober-minded scholars speak seriously of Balaam, Doeg, Ahitophel, and Gehazi as being the nicknames which the Mishnah Sanhedrin uses for Jesus and 3 of his disciples. If these scholars were consistent, they ought to try to identify the 3 kings Jeroboam, Ahab.
Yeah, Liam, the 12 disciples are just as fictional as the 12 tribes of Israel and the 12 sons of Jacob. Not real. Astrological.
And Manasseh, with 3 Christian emperors, since the 4 private persons mentioned and the 3 kings are said in the Mishnah to form one class of grave sinners. What a pity that there were no Christian emperors at the time of the Mishnah. Numerous legends concerning these 7 sinners are given in both Talmuds in connection with the statement of the Mishnah.
Hey, Fascist New World Order, I missed you earlier here on Rumble says, I've never seen anything more pathetic in my life than the most powerful military superpower letting a teeny tiny little country assassinate the president and his brother and son because they wrote a book. What do you mean because they wrote a book? You lost me on because they wrote a book. You see they released the new F-47 fighter jet looks like. Looks pretty cool. Looks very aerodynamic. Like a bird. Hopefully it'll be better than the F-22 or something that was so bad, had all the problems. Something like that.
Concerning them.
This is almost done, guys.
And these legends.
You know what? Let me break it up for a second. On page 168 of Jesus, the Jews Never Knew, it says, it's citing the Talmud, if a man say to thee, I am God, he is a liar. And they think this is a reference to Jesus. If a man say to thee, I am God, he is a liar. If he says, I am the Son of Man, also which Jesus did, in the end, people will laugh at him. It's almost like they know something. People are going to laugh about the made-up fictional Jewish Son of Man that they created. In the end, people will laugh at him. If he says, I will go up to heaven, he said, but shall not perform it. Oh, the ascension is also made up? Imagine my shock. According to Hereford, this is a dead ringer reference to Jesus. If he says, and it also says, if he says, I am the Son of Man, which Jesus is known as being the Son of Man, in the end, he will regret it.
Can by no stretch of imagination be made to apply to other persons than to those who bear these names in the Bible. They show not only how the Amorim understood this statement of the Mishnah, but also how much the lives of these biblical persons occupied the fancy of the Jewish people. One may therefore state with absolute certainty that the entire Talmudic Midrashic literature does not know of any nicknames for Jesus or his disciples. The explicit notices of Jesus the Nazarene, even if they are not late alterations of the Talmud texts, are still much too late to be evidence of any historical Jesus. This is because the Talmudic attributions of their authorship cannot be proved, and thus cannot be trusted any more than the numerous sayings for which the Talmud provides multiple, that is, contradictory attributions. When the Talmud tells us that Rabbi X said such and such about Jesus, or about anything at all, we cannot consult a rabbinical biochronology that says that Rabbi X died in the year 110 CE, and then conclude that such and such was an opinion about Jesus.
Uh-oh.
Current as early as 110 CE. Still less can we suppose that such and such is a fact about Jesus known at that time. The manuscript evidence for the Babylonian Talmud is so late that we generally have no idea at all how early or how late any given piece of the text came to occupy its present position.
That's the other thing, is you can't cite the Talmud as proof that Jesus is real when it's only contained in the later layers of the Talmud. Christians will say, Judaism's a perversion of Christianity, and the Talmud didn't come till later, and blah, blah, blah. And that's not real. It's all that shit. F-35 was the boondoggle? Yeah, that's right. Zornder Edom says, another great stream. I have seen enough of this insanity to fuel endless nightmares, but the clarity and liberation of being green-pilled is worth it. I look forward to the mask-off J Clown World Theater causing critical mass soon. Dude, we're only going to get more and more vindicated. How vindicated have we been over the years? It's only going to accelerate. We're only getting started.
Documents of the rabbinical literature are extremely difficult, if not impossible, to date. Number 6, Jesus boiling in excrement.
Here we go.
Now, for the most infamous passage in
the Christian's favorite passage, the most infamous.
57a, a Jesus as a Jewish sinner boiling in excrement for mocking the words of the sages. The boiling excrement is actually a location called Zoa Rodachat in the Talmud, and the Zohar is a location in Gehenna where the souls of Jews who committed to certain sins are sent for punishment. There are many passages about those being sent to Gehinnom or Gehenna being referred as sinners of Israel. Those who deny God, does not observe the Torah or the Garden of Eden are sent to Gehenna. As we know, the Torah is the foundation of the Christian Bible, and many Christian identities.
Why is this not going? 16 minutes in? The book is good. Boiling and shit, their favorite Talmud verse. Christians get off on Jews not liking Jesus. That they're like the villains, the Jesus-hating villains. And without them, you wouldn't have your savior.
Christians avoid
Christians love
criticizing it as it breaks their entire illusion of Christianity not being a sect of Judaism. There is no passage or manuscript we can rely on to confirm or deny that this is Jesus. However, even if this was Jesus, it does not make it any better for Christians who rejects the Jews, because Jesus admits in the Talmud that the Jewish people are the most important people in the world where he is in, and
Christians don't even know that. They're like, oh, the Talmud says this. They speak of Jesus saying positive things about Jews. Who is most important in that world where you are now? Jesus said to him, the Jewish people. Jesus said to him, their welfare you shall seek, their misfortune you shall not seek, for anyone who touches them is regarded as if they were touching the apple of his eye.
he says something similar to Zechariah 2:8, telling that one should not harm the Jews as it harms the offender back. In the end, the Jesuses in the Talmud are only a distraction for Christians, to let them think the Jews genuinely hold hatred towards Jesus, when in fact, the Jews hate pagans more than any Christian or a Jewish Messiah.
Facts.
Let's explore some passages where Jews condemn and slander pagans in the Talmud. The Jerusalem Talmud Shabbat 9 explicitly refers to idolatry as an abomination. The term liable, as used in the attached excerpt from Sanhedrin 61b, refers to being legally or morally responsible for a transgression or wrongdoing. In this specific Talmudic context...
Hey, Liam Jarrett says, thanks for the shout-outs. Helped to make my day. No more news for life. Thank you, Liam. Liam Jarrett. Super shout-out. Pantheon, or Pathe... What is that? Faithon? Says, do you remember the famous children's book, The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein? The branches give and are eventually harvested, and all that remains is the roots. I do remember the book, reading as a kid, and now I know he's Jewish, but I didn't remember that part of the story. That, are you saying it's coded Kabbalah? Wouldn't doubt it.
It means that a person is subject to punishment or consequences for engaging in prohibited actions, such as idolatry. In Avodah Zarah 3:6, if a house was connected to a place of pagan worship and it collapses, it is forbidden to rebuild it because of its association with idolatry. In Jewish law, idolatry is considered one of the gravest sins, and anything associated with it is treated as impure and forbidden. Sanhedrin 63b addresses the prohibition against vowing or affirming statements in the name of an idol. It discusses the transgression involved when someone invokes an idol in an oath or vow, emphasizing that this act constitutes a violation of Jewish law. The Jerusalem Talmud Avodah Zarah 1:7 discusses the prohibition against attending theaters and stadiums, linking these activities to idolatrous practices. Avodah Zarah 2 deals with Jewish laws concerning interactions with idolaters and idolaters.
I don't know why this isn't working. Maybe you didn't export it anti-Judaic and
it addresses restrictions on business dealings with non-Jews, known as Gentiles, in the days leading up to their festivals. The concern is that such interactions might indirectly support idolatrous practices or lead to expressions of gratitude to idols. Avodah Zarah 18b repeats the same story in Avodah Zarah 2a. emphasizing the need to distance oneself from idolatry. It extends the prohibition to include venues where idolatrous practices may occur, or where the environment is considered morally corrupt, the seat of the scornful. The phrase, seat of the scornful, suggests places of mockery, irreverence, or moral laxity, reinforcing the idea that Jews should avoid such environments to maintain spiritual and ethical integrity. Gentiles are seen as scoffers in the eyes of the Jews, and therefore their punishment is death. The Gentiles, the Jews, refer in the Talmud,
no scoffing, Goyim,
are non-Jews and pagans. To be a Gentile is to be a non-Jewish pagan. For more information, you should check this article. Christians are doing a favor to Jews by believing in Jewish slander, accusing pagans of the very thing the Jews themselves are, promiscuous, baby-killing creatures. Christians erase their own pagan ancestry, giving themselves up for Jewish worship. Christianity is not an European faith, and it'll never be.
Never.
Return to your pagan roots while it's not too late.
Nice. Nice work, Anti-Judaic. I like what you did with that.
In the Talmud,
interesting little mini doc. Railroad Hobo for 25 says, sorry, repeating my comment. I had an issue with the tip. I think Catherine Austin Fitts said it best recently. Elon Musk is not a person. He's an operation. He's basically a front man with a sketchy past like Zuckerberg. No way he's running Tesla, SpaceX, Doge, and having 13 kids at the same time. Yeah, I know. I've often thought that. He seems like and if he is a front man for, say, I don't know, Israel, we're going to be in big trouble with all of the consolidation of technology and power and companies that he has. Okay. What else do we have here? Man, we're not going to get to all of it today. Let's finish with this. So look at this. 316,000 likes. Was this meme right all along? Obelisk covered up, only the top is a pyramid. I doubt it. That's not even what this new study is saying, but people love it so much. The intrigue and the mystery of the pyramids. Graham Hancock. Where's Graham Hancock when you need him? Alex Jones is pumping it with this guy who I've seen on Twitter who's a Christ cuck. Pushing Christian controlled op talking points as well. The greatest archaeological find in history was just discovered. Using powerful ground-penetrating radar, scientists have mapped the structure more than twice the height of the tallest building on Earth under the Kafir pyramid in the Giza complex. Have you guys seen this going around? Have you looked into it at all? Let me know in the chat what's your takeaways so far. Let's watch I want to watch the Greg Reese breakdown first. His is shorter.
And Filippo Biondi involved in
And look, this is going super viral. 9,000 likes, 1 million views. Pyramid scan. Let's see this.
Corrado Malanga from the University of Pisa and Filippo Biondi involved in radar and remote sensing research with the University of Strathclyde published peer-reviewed research in 2022 via MDPI entitled Synthetic Aperture Radar Doppler Tomography reveals details of undiscovered high-resolution internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Their research was conducted using SAR data, synthetic aperture radar, along with proprietary software developed by Filippo Biondi that transforms the radar signals into phononic information, which allows for the detection of millimetric vibrations. This cutting-edge technology is capable of revealing underground structures invisible to traditional methods and revealed internal structures never seen before. Having established their expertise in using SAR to explore pyramid structures non-invasively, a recent press release on their current project was released last Saturday. This March 15th press release summarized the key findings in the team's research of the second largest pyramid of the Giza Plateau, known as the Khafre Pyramid, and what they found was astonishing. The analysis of dozens of tomographic SAR images obtained from different angles enabled the 3D reconstruction of inside the pyramid of Khafre and deep beneath the surface of the plateau. Near the base of the pyramid, 5 identical structures are seen, connected by geometric pathways. Inside each of these are 5 horizontal levels and a sloping roof. Below these 5 structures are 8 cylindrical structures, which appear to be vertical wells, hollow inside, and surrounded by descending spiral pathways. These 8...
If this is real, assuming this is real, which I'm not sure it is, what is... I've long heard people speculating that it was like an energy source or something. Free energy, or it wasn't just a tomb for pharaohs, that there was some other like scientific technological thing.
Vertically aligned cylindrical structures arranged in 2 parallel rows from north to south descend to a...
They're really able to dig that deep underneath this thing? You guys believe
depth
that?
Of 648 meters, where they all merge into 2 large cubic structures, measuring...
Jews will try to take credit for this. For finding it or for building it? Anunnaki built them? A fantasy? It's a nice fantasy. Oh, giants did it? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know about any of this. I mean, what did it look like in the image? Like, that's what it looks like? From this, we're supposed to believe that all of this is here? I don't know about that.
Structures measuring approximately 80 meters per side. The entire structure extends approximately 2 kilometers beneath the surface and extends beneath all 3 pyramids of the Giza Plateau complex. Mainstream Egyptology tells us that the Giza pyramids were tombs for pharaohs Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, and that they were built around 2500 BC using ramps, sledges, and levers. But the redundant mathematics in their construction, which include pi, the golden ratio, and the speed of light, along with the testimony of today's expert architects.
I don't believe that. The speed of light. The speed of light is encoded in the pyramids.
Suggests that the official story does not hold up. The massive underground structure revealed by the recent SAR data shows what appears to be a mechanical or functional system, and this has been hypothesized in the past. Nikola Tesla believed that the pyramids could harness Earth's natural frequencies. This arguably inspired his experiments in wireless energy transmission.
Hold on. No, the ChatGPT says, no, the speed of light is not encoded in the pyramids of Egypt. The claim is based on a modern numerological coincidence rather than any actual evidence of ancient Egyptian knowledge. The claim arises from the fact that the speed of light in a vacuum, 299,000 meters per second, and the geographic coordinates of the Great Pyramid, 29.972 north latitude. Some claim this is evidence that the builders of the pyramids knew the speed of light. Why this is not evidence. Modern measurement units were established in 1793, thousands of years after the pyramids were built. The Egyptians used cubits, not meters. So already it doesn't add up. Coordinate systems are arbitrary. It is a crazy coincidence, though. No evidence of advanced physics knowledge. I mean, they built the pyramids. We don't know that necessarily. Pseudoscience, they claim.
Mission and scalar waves. In the Giza power plant, Christopher Dunn argued that the Great Pyramid was a power-generating machine using resonant and acoustic forces to convert mechanical stress into electricity. In the Giza Death Star, Joseph Farrell proposed that the Great Pyramid of Giza was a weapon of mass destruction using a type of physics that he calls paleophysics to focus energy as a scalar weapon. The cylindrical wells could be conduits for energy.
Hold on. The author of, who is this author? Joseph P. Farrell, who he just cited. He's got other books like Nazi International, The Reich in the Black Sun, The Nazi Secret something, Babylon Banksters. This sounds like a whole lot of Jewish controlled op nonsense to me. Fourth Reich shit. The Cosmic War. Interplanetary warfare. This guy's a kook. What are you citing this guy? World War II and Secret Technologies, Kansas. He's still alive, 70 years old. Babylon's banksters. Oh, it's the Babylonians. Okay, dude. The Reich of the Black Sun, the Nazi secret weapons in the Cold War Allied legend. Arguing that the Nazi Germany actually won the race for the atom bomb in 1944. Okay. Giants, Monsters, and what other books has this guy read or written? Financial Vipers of Venice. So no, it's not the Jews that are the bankers. It's the black nobility and the Babylonians, and I've heard this shit before. The Third Way, the Nazi International European Union and Corporate Fascism. Okay, Joseph. The God History Dialectic. Hess and the Penguins. Holocaust, Antarctica, and the Strange Case. So this is where Adam King's getting this shit. I wonder if he's heard of Joseph Farrell before. Because Nazis running everything, Antarctica, Roswell. He has a book on Roswell, too. Come on. All right.
Giza was a weapon of mass destruction using a type of physics that he calls paleophysics to focus energy as a scalar weapon. The cylindrical wells could be conduits for energy or sound waves, and the cubic structures might serve as energy storage or stabilization units, akin to components in a large-scale weapon or generator. And the detection of vibrations in the pyramid's internal structures reflects all of these ideas. The Khafre Project hopes to plan an excavation in order to discover more about this underground structure. But history shows that this will be very difficult to get approval for. Greg Reese reporting.
Yeah, they're never going to be able to dig underneath the pyramids. What does this guy say? Thoughts on the pyramid discovery. The original scan can be seen on the left. So they're saying this is what it looks like. They're claiming that's what it is. Okay, hold on. And they were somehow interpreted to this. First order of business, third parties should conduct immediate secondary testing and compare scan results, and a neutral third party should analyze and interpret both sets of scans. Most important aspect is the fact that there's subterranean extension. Pyramids that would be exceptionally strong, suggestive evidence that the pyramids are a lost technology of some kind, as many have believed. He wants them to be real, but it needs further testing. I want to watch a little bit of this too, what Jones is saying about it. It reminds me of when I was debating with Owen Schroyer like 7 years ago, and he was like, I'm not just focused on the Jews. Like, what about the pyramids? He said, what about the pyramids? And now we got the big InfoWars pyramid conspiracy. 37,000 likes.
I am struggling to express in words just how significant of a discovery this is. Because what's been discovered is that there are huge structures coming down from the base of the pyramid deep into the bedrock. This is not possible given the standard historical and archaeological narrative given to us about ancient Egypt.
We're talking about huge structures that go kilometers under the earth and that have these huge coils around them. And then these other structures built above that.
How are they getting the coils? I saw the image. It didn't look like coils. Do you guys see coils here? Like, if that's what they look like and they're spinning that into this, they're full of shit.
That basically look like Chinese architecture. And then you start looking at the schematics of what they found. It looks like a power plant grid. Just the giant pillars are 2 kilometers. Then there's giant blocks under them that are gigantic. I mean, this is amazing.
If true, it would be amazing. And if not, it's just a bunch of distraction bullshit.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've always been fascinated with the pyramids, and I've read a lot of history books about it, both mainstream and alternative. I've interviewed a lot of experts about it.
Yeah, ancient alien shit.
Ancients said about it, like Plato and others that were really historians of their time. And these new discoveries that were just announced last week and got very little attention until just a few days ago are the most spectacular ever, using very sophisticated, high-powered satellite, ground-penetrating radar. An international team of scientists, and they published their findings, have been able to scan down deep into the Giza pyramid complex, and particularly the Khafre pyramid, the second largest in the world, second only to the other pyramid right next to it. There's obviously 3 big ones and a bunch of older ones, or they think maybe later ones, copies of those that weren't as good.
Okay.
Simply hundreds and hundreds, just fabulously interesting.
3D model of the internal structure of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now, this model has revealed a previously unknown chamber with 5 horizontal levels and a sloping roof, which in of itself is an architectural design unlike any previously documented in the Giza Pyramid. But the most shocking discovery lies beneath the surface. Below ground level, radar tomography has identified vertical cylindrical structures extending for hundreds of meters beneath the pyramid. There are 8 of these cylindrical wells arranged in 2 parallel rows, descending to an astonishing depth of 648 meters. Even more intriguing, at the base of these structures are 2 massive cubic formations measuring approximately 80 meters in diameter. The tomographic data suggests that these are vertical wells with intricate spiral pathways. Now, this design not only implies a functional purpose, but also a level of sophisticated engineering that completely blows
We was aliens
the Egyptian model out of the water.
Good one.
I mean, the pyramid itself was already a massive red flag in the ancient Egyptian historical narrative. But now, with this discovery, I think it's become impossible to say that the Egyptian civilizations that we understand, that we've been taught about, were responsible for building these structures.
Yeah, I'd have you arguing about trannies, pyramids, and aliens from outer space while they take over the world.
Extreme
Right?
Egyptology tells us that the Giza pyramids were tombs for pharaohs Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure, and that they were built around 2500 BC using ramps, sledges, and levers. But the redundant mathematics in their construction, which include pi, the golden Joseph.
All right.
Radar is in there, folks. It's like Stonehenge. I mean, they can't even do that today.
I'm calling bullshit. I wish it was true. I think that'd be awesome if they figured out that the pyramids are super advanced technology and there really is some shit. What was it? How many meters or kilometers underneath the ground? I think that would be amazing. Then the lost civilizations and Graham Hancock stuff would basically be proven, but I don't think they're ever going to prove it. This is just going to be another Facebook boomer type of conspiracy distraction, keeping everybody's minds off of the big conspiracy hiding in plain sight. The number one religion in the world that worships the King of the Jews as the Son of God. That's you're so interested in that, but not the fact that a Jews would create a myth, invent a myth that conquered the world, that you believe in and that you promote. Anyway, I got to run. Love you all. Thank you all for the support. Super duper huge shout out to Indomitably Based for the big dono. John Garadas as well. Railroad Hobo, Faithon. See Through It All, John Garadas, Anti-Judaic, everybody. Eric the Red, a.k.a. Paper Jesus, Troggy Trog. You guys are awesome. Let's see real quick if I missed any. You know what we can do? I like to do this. little background to see us out. Thank you, Elon Musk, for the follow and for the great nightmarish content. That was good as well. In the fascist New World Order for the Rumble rant. Appreciate you guys for making it possible. I'm not kidding. I'm not bullshitting. I'm not Alex Jones. They're almost gone. The Tingy Tangerine. The Super Male Vitality. We're on our last batches. I really only have like 10 each of the shirts left. Not in each size, just 10 total. So nomorenews.org. Get yours before they're gone. I'm not getting any more in this style and color. I mean it. New shirt. I'm going to have to do another order of a new design, though. But anyway, get your shirt. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I love you all. Appreciate you all for the support. Everybody have a nice weekend, and I will be back next week with a whole bunch of content and material, and we'll see what's going on. So you guys have a nice weekend. Take care.